What is up, guys? This video is all about dealing with negative press. What I mean by that is there's a lot of websites that are going on that is criticizing our work, but here's the thing, it's actually good. It's actually good to go online, look at these reviews. That really paints a picture of how we're performing and where we can improve in the future. So when you see a negative review, look at it as a blessing, because that's what it is. So in this video, I'm gonna be going through negative reviews that I found online. They're from random parts of the country. I'm not gonna actually badmouth the restaurant because I've never eaten here. I'm just looking at some of these reviews and I'm letting you know what a professional chef would do with your negative comment online. So let's look at the first one. Ordered an $18 burger cooked medium. $18 tiny junior patty came out bone dry. Well done. Sent it back. Second tiny $18 junior patty came out bone dry. The burger wasn't even average. I wouldn't even given it 1 star if the burger was $10. Also, parking here is a nightmare. So if you have to pay for parking, there is no parking. So you have to valet, which is something I'm not comfortable with. Way too many restaurants in Memphis and even the same area that are so much more better than this. So first thing after reading this review is that 2 people responded. One person said it was useful, one person said it was funny. There is no response from the restaurant. When you get a negative review, respond right away. Do it publicly and then send them a private message. You want to paint the picture that you care and that you're concerned and that your performance is unacceptable. Do everything you can do to get them back in the door and to get them to change the review. This review is going to be online forever. So you want them to either take it down or fix it. That way you do not lose business, because 2 people responded to this and I guarantee those 2 people are not going to be eating there. So this person has an issue with the burgers. $18 is very, very expensive for a burger. So you want to make sure that your burger is perfect if you're making them pay $18 for it. Think about it. They could go to McDonald's and they can get 5 burgers for that amount. So the fact that they're paying $18 and they can't even get it cooked right is unacceptable. This person even mentioned there's a lot of restaurants in Memphis and there is no parking. So you want them to come in knowing that they're getting perfect food, especially if they're paying that much when there's so much competition around. Burger was bone dry. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be living and breathing burgers until I get this issue fixed. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my walk-in to make sure that my product is getting rotated properly. I also want to make sure that I'm not over ordering. If I over order or don't rotate, the product's going to get oxidized and it's going to go bad quick, and before it even hits the grill, it's going to be bad. And I want to make sure that that's not the problem. Once I understand that that's not the problem, I'm going to be going to my grill cook and I'm going to be doing side-by-sides with him, teaching him everything I know about the grill. Not only do I want to make sure that he's cooking a proper burger, I want to pass on all the knowledge and all the experience I have onto him. That way he can be inspired. I want him to be coming into this restaurant the next day inspired because he's learning new things and the food he's making is 10 times better. I'm probably gonna let him eat a burger. That way he can see how it is when it's done right. I just want him to be passionate about the food. And the only way to do that is to do side-by-sides with your employees, to teach your employees, to let them eat the food and try the food. Because I guarantee you what's going to happen is they're going to go home, they're going to cook the food with their kids, they're going to show them all the stuff they're learning at work, and they're going to be inspired to come back the next day to improve on their cooking and to learn new things. So that's really how to fix the issue with a burger like this. Like, being able to cook a burger to temperature is not a hard problem. And this cook just costs you business because they're not making burgers right. So you really have to inspire and teach your cooks. So this one shouldn't be too hard to fix, but reach back out to this person, bring them back into your restaurant, give them a free meal, treat them like kings and queens, do whatever you can do to get their business back. Next review. I met a friend here for lunch, and while I loved catching up with my friend, the food and service was just awful. I was really excited to try this place. I read the menu beforehand and stalked the Instagram geotag. I absolutely loved anything with eggs and salmon and opted for the English salmon. The English salmon is listed as such on a website. Organic scrambled eggs, wild smoked Atlantic salmon, brandy aioli, creme fraiche, chives, and English muffin. Here's what I got. Completely bland and under-seasoned eggs, a mere garnish of smoked salmon. I was shocked at the portion and almost asked for more but didn't. I was honestly offended they thought it was okay to serve that little of the fish for $13. Tasteless and minimal smear of aioli on the English muffin. No creme fraiche or chives anywhere to be found. Untoasted English muffin. The service was impossibly slow. The food took 30 plus minutes to come out. My friend got a salad and we had to ask for our check because it never came. 4 people reacted to this comment and they did not respond. So not only is this person not coming back, their friend's not coming back, and the 4 people that actually responded to it are probably not gonna eat there ever again. So I see a lot of problems here with the operation. When I'm reading this review, I think it's a staffing issue. This guest said that the service was slow, and they said that their food was not good. So that just screams understaffed to me. With something like this, I'm gonna be looking at the financials from that day, and I'm gonna look at the productivity. Now, if you're looking at labor cost, I look at productivity through sales per labor hour, and that's gonna tell you if you're over or understaffed. Another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through my seating software that I'm using, whether it's opentable or a different platform, and I'm gonna be seeing how often and how frequently the front of the house is getting flipped. So if the hosts for that restaurant are seating all the tables at once, that means all the tickets are gonna go through the kitchen at once. We want a nice even pace, that way tickets are going back into the kitchen in a reasonable fashion. When tickets get waived, as we like to call it, not only is the kitchen backed up, but the servers actually get backed up as well. Now, $13 for organic eggs and smoked salmon seems pretty cheap. So I do have some questions as to whether you're actually getting what you're paying for. But like you said, you didn't get a whole lot of smoked salmon, which I wouldn't think you would anyway. Smoked salmon's a very, very expensive protein. So if I'm paying $13 for something with smoked salmon, I'm not expecting a lot of smoked salmon. Now, as a chef, I'm obviously gonna be doing side-by-sides with my cooks on the eggs. I'm also gonna be working with my cooks to make sure that they understand this dish from start to finish. Something like the English muffin not being toasted is gonna completely ruin this dish. You want the texture from the English muffin. So if you have soft eggs, you don't want soft bread at the bottom of the plate. You want a nice toasted piece of bread. That way when they cut through it, there's gonna be crunch. Dish was also missing creme fraiche and chives. Now, I don't know specifically how this dish is constructed, but it's possible that there should have been an expo that should have caught that before it went out the door. So not only am I working with my cooks, I am also working with my kitchen supervisors to make sure that they're stopping food before it goes out the door. Think about it. The cook had to touch it, the expo probably had to touch it, and the server had to run the food. No one noticed that there was no creme fraiche or chives. That's a big issue. So I'm working with everybody throughout the week to ensure that the food going out is correct. All right, last one. This one's slamming a chain restaurant, and it's very, very long, so I'm not gonna read the whole thing. I'm just gonna skip through the part that has the food. So this is a major chain restaurant that we're talking about here, and they should have a guest relations department that should be responding to stuff like this. So the fact that they're not, they're really dropping the ball. Said I hate chain restaurants, ate here maybe 5 years ago. Husband wanted to come back because he really liked it. Food was drowning in grease and salts, and I knew it was just junk food on a plate. People who don't care if they get diabetes or heart disease or just want cheap comfort food in big portion. They said the restaurant is basically falling apart. They sat in a booth that is literally falling off. Server didn't notice them. The place is dirty and disgusting. Napkins and food all over the floor. Said the food was diabetes friendly. Salted up to the wahoo, and everything was dripping with butter and grease. I had shrimp tacos, which should have been healthy. Instead it was swimming in butter. Hubby had steak with mashed potatoes with a heart attack sauce in the middle. They called it loaded mashed potatoes, meaning they dumped a vat of cheddar cheese and bacon on it. Totally gross, and they peddled it as a side dish for several entrees. Then to top it off, they gave us the wrong bill, which showed we ordered a different meal. The server apologized, but then rushed around for 15 minutes serving other people while we waited for him to correct, which was his error. We were on his time, not ours. Finally, he updated the kiosk so that we were charged the right amount. Yeah, that one's a pretty bad review. There's a lot to think about here. Typically when I see restaurants falling apart like that, and if it's a corporate restaurant, I'm thinking that the corporate office is probably just giving up on the store. It's probably not generating enough profit to where they want to keep it open. So when booths fall apart like that and it's very visible, they're probably on their way to shutting it down. Even if the management in the store doesn't recognize it, the regional will come around eventually and look at it, and if they don't address it immediately, then the restaurant's probably going away. So yeah, everything about their experience was poor. So the management really needs to step it up in this restaurant. The chef needs to be in the back working with the food, making sure that nothing's going out of the kitchen unless it's perfect, and stopping everything that's wrong. They need to be doing side-by-sides with the tacos, the mashed potatoes, everything listed here. They also need to make sure it's going out in a timely fashion. If you're making food and putting it in the window and it sits in a window for 10 minutes, it's really gonna start building up grease. And because of the heat, all the oils are gonna start coming out of the food. So you wanna avoid that. The server also made a mistake by giving them the wrong bill. Now that's completely fine, mistakes happen, everyone understands that, but when you make a mistake with the guest, your first priority should be getting it fixed. So when you make a mistake like that, you gotta realize that the guest already has a negative image of the restaurant in their head. So if you get it fixed right away, you can recover that table. So in total, this is just management doesn't care, and they really need to go back to the basics of how to run a good restaurant. They need to push the cleanliness, make sure the place gets cleaned up, and they really need to push education and development for their staff. So I hope you found this video useful. If there's something that you would do differently or something that I missed, please feel free to leave it in the comments. And if you're new around here, please subscribe. It goes a long way of helping me accomplish my goal of positively impacting the career of restaurant employees.